Okay, we are back with the second verse of the Tao Te Ching, second chapter, as I think what I'm calling it, because it's hard to tell which it's hard to tell if it's a verse or a chapter. I just call them poems. It don't matter. It makes sense either way. But it's cold out here in Michigan. Wind is blowing, snow is flowing, and I gotta say, glad to be inside because it's whipping outside. And you know, there's a lot of people who are sitting out in the cold with nothing but a blanket and some gloves. So be grateful that we have shelter. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we're in here working on ourselves, learning, trying to be the best version of ourselves, and you know, climbing the steps of life. And I think the second chapter in the Tao Te Ching really like encapsulates the I guess the evil of comparison and the dissonance between like what it means to be a person and then what people think it means to be a person, especially when you compare yourself to other people. So if you're in a place right now where you feel like you're not good enough, or people think you're weird or out of place or whatever, or you think that about yourself, the second verse is just for you. Um, it's um, it's probably about 11 lines, and just as hard as the first one, you know. So without further ado, I'm gonna read it for y'all, and then we'll go into some breakdown. You know what it is. All right. Tao Te Ching, chapter 2. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but doesn't possess. Acts but doesn't expect. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. Cheers to that. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. Like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Phew. All right. So, just like last time, let's go line by line. Back to the top. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. You know, I'm not the first person to say that, like, comparison is the thief of joy. You know, all things are relative. Like, hot is only really the presence of energy, and cold is the lack of energy in a space. Temperature is just a measure of movement, right? Beauty is just a way to quantify energy. And if something is beautiful, you know, it's only beautiful to something that's what we think is less beautiful. And how can we really say what is beautiful and what's not beautiful? Because what's beautiful to one person isn't necessarily beautiful to another. And what is beautiful could be ugly, you know. Think about like anything in life, really. It's like everything is subjective. It to know an objective truth as a human is just not possible. And I'm not really here try and, change that. You know what I mean? When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Line 2. Being and non-being create each other. Like, what is good? What is bad? The Tao is trying to tell you that being a good person is really just the same as being a bad person. And it's like, what difference does it make if a person is bad for you and your experience? You're not God. A bad person might be motivated by different things than you and might do things that you find deplorable. But does that mean that their cause is or isn't noble? What if somebody's trying to put food on the table for their kids and only has a certain way to do it, by picking up arms and walking on the street, so to speak? You know what I mean? You just don't really know what people are doing and coming from. So why waste your time in the nuances of relativity? Life is too nuanced to even say what's right and what's wrong. So it's like, why not just let it all go, Why not let life be as it is? But moreover, it's like these things are the same thing. It's like I was saying before, humans really are neutral. We're born neutral, and we have our experiences through life that color how we look at the world, you know what I mean? And whatever path you choose, there's always going to be somebody that says that that's the wrong path, So all the dichotomies of the world, all the lefts and the rights, they're all relative to each other. So why get caught up in the projections of your own, honestly, insecurities and the same of others, when really you're just trying to figure out who you are in the center, before you even know it, So skip down to line 8. The master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Like a good man doesn't even, like, is a good man a person who punishes a bad man? Isn't that what a bad man does to a good man who is too much of a sucker to believe? Like, what makes him good? Just, a gambler loses his money thinking that he's doing a good thing for himself. Does it make him a bad man that he loses his money? Or is the casino bad? Or, the casino lets him know, like, hey, you're going to lose your money, but he does it anyway. Does that make the casino bad? Or does it make the man bad? The master doesn't really get caught up in that, Lao Tzu saying that the master just centers themselves in their intention. Like, what do they need from this situation? What do they need to do? Where do they need to go? And you don't need to get to that answer by saying anything in life, You got to think about what it means to go for things, goals, aspirations, dreams, but not from a place of possession. You want to go to see, to observe, to experience, not to have and to hold, but to show and to tell. And there's an internal telling that I think a lot of us overlook. I know myself included. Like, I'm not trying to say like anything of this doesn't apply to myself, but you gotta think about things from a place of nothing, It's the more you think, the more you move, the further you're away from this center of being. So things arise, line 9, and she lets them come. Things disappear, and she lets them go. Like, that can be applied to literally everything in life, Like, from music to your job to situations with other people, opportunities, failures, anything, man. You can't identify with anything that's put before you in the present moment. We're all watching this movie, and like, don't get me wrong, it's a divine movie that we all are watching together and experiencing in like a 4-dimensional way. But things come and things go, my guy. So, obvious examples, relationships, because if you're lucky, you'll have many relationships in your life, from your family to significant others to friends to even work relationships count, But suppose somebody says something that you don't like, or they hurt your feelings, or they break your heart, or they cheat on you, or they rob from you, or whatever. There's a way to manage your feelings towards that. And the way is to never identify with the things that happen to you, because your emotions, they come and they go. Your experiences, they come and they go. Everything comes and goes. There is only one thing that is constant, and that is the present moment. And that present moment is consciousness, right? Being conscious of what's in front of you at any moment. Because you look into the past, it really don't exist. It's a story in your head that you've put together from many present moments, but you can never really go back to the past. And the same thing goes for the future. You can never really go to the future. We'll only project and create realities that we think would make sense. But how can we ever think about the infinite nuance of the universe and expect it to actually perfectly reflect that in our manifested reality? It's just too much to think about. And it's cool that way. It's like, I would rather not know what's coming than already know every single thing that's gonna happen. And I want to let go of the things in my past that hold me back, and all the BS that I've gone through, and all the people that I've trusted and thought that I trusted. The Tao has no time for that. It's like there's no space. There's no space for the real experience of life when you follow the Tao, Like, as in, like, there's no space for the manifestations. Well, I take that back. That's not true, because I feel like there's a lot of space for the manifestations, but you can't identify with the things that come and go, There's too many things to even hold on to, yet we still cling to all the stupid things that somebody said to us, or the way we got treated, or the way we got played. It all doesn't matter. And then going back to like how everything is relative to itself and other things in life, you can't identify with one side of the table or the other, because when you do, you're weighing yourself down. The master doesn't possess, but because they don't possess, they're able to experience like everything. If you go left wing, Bernie Sanders all the way, or even further, Karl Marx all the way, you don't really get to see the nuances and the whatever thing that appeals people on the other side of the table. You don't get to see those nuggets of value and knowledge that they observe on the other side. And not saying one side is better than the other, but there's a reason why some people follow one way and some people follow another. The master doesn't really follow any way, is what Lao Tzu is saying. Like, you can't pick a side and expect to get everything from life. And to even get everything from life is presumptuous in itself. But there's a way to create more space in your heart and in your mind to allow more of the nuances of life in. And there's so much richness, learning to forgive, somebody that broke your heart, like, a lot easier said than done. But think about the freedom you feel knowing that, one, it doesn't matter what this person did to me, but two, I have a whole world of people that I can still meet and make new relationships with. That's how I'm trying to get my mind to think, because it's so easy to just like be attached to the things that we've lost. It's like you can't really have things that you've lost. They're a part of the past. They're gone. And even if things come back around, you still are clinging on to a piece of the past. And like, even then, like, you observe changes in that thing, whatever it is, because things are always in motion. Why are you trying to grab something that's not really yours to grab? At least that's how I look at it. You can't expect things from life, because you can't possibly create the simulation of life in your head. You can have the vision, and I do believe that there's a connection between what you see and where you're going. It's like you're on a steering wheel, but you can't teleport in life. You have to drive your way to your destinations. And you're driving down the road, right? You don't expect when a thunderstorm is coming, or a tornado or a snowstorm or any beautiful weather or any beautiful landmark. You're not really expecting those things. And I mean, yeah, okay, like, you are expecting some milestones along the way, but you don't really know the exact second that you're going to pass them. You wait patiently on the path to pass the things that you see for yourself in the future. The universe has a goofy way of kind of putting itself together, and I'm in the business of letting the universe do what it needs to do. Me also going into this final line right here, when the work is done, she forgets it. I'm a person who is always trying to make things as best as I possibly can. And it's really difficult to do that because, one, yes, you do progress through things, but it's pretty difficult to always progress. And I think about, like, I don't know, fitness, working out, all kinds of stuff like that, things that are progression based. It's so easy to put your value and your chips, so to speak, on, small increases on your max, or like small little steps. Like, and then when you trip on a step or slip down a step, you feel like your value has decreased. But it's like, no, dude, you've experienced so much, and the value is in the experience of doing the countless repetitions in the first place. Like, even if you're not getting anywhere on paper, you still are putting in this work, And when you do the work and forget about it, you're not worried about the numbers. You're enjoying the experience of doing the work. And that's where like the bliss of like exercise comes in, you know. Now if you're competing and you have a goal, it is what it is. But it's kind of like when, like, suppose you want to lose some weight, right? There's two ways I think you can do it. You can either weigh yourself, or you can look at yourself in the mirror. Let me rephrase that. So if you're trying to lose some weight and you get on a regimen to lose weight, we can assume that it's an effective weight loss protocol. There's two ways to document your progress. There's more than two ways, but you can either look at the scale or you can look in the mirror, you know? And it's easy to get caught up in the numbers, because when you look at the numbers on the scale, the work is never done. You're always trying to change that number. And the same could be said about looking in the mirror. But the thing about it is, once you start going along on your progress, you'll see changes in the mirror that you're attracted to, but the number in the scale will go in any direction. It can go up or down, and the untrained person will see a increase in the number as like a failure, like, yo, I gained weight this week. And then it can be easy to get off a track because you're like, man, I failed, you know. But they don't realize, like, hey, they got a little bit more definition in their stomach, you know. Maybe their biceps looking a little bit more cut, you know. Maybe there are more, you know, like, there's more shape in their back or whatever. Or maybe walking is just a little bit easier. Or normal chores, like, that normally exhausted you and got you out of breath, maybe that's just a little bit easier this week because you've been working on yourself, you know. So a master of the way doesn't even look in the mirror, for real. They don't look at the scale. They look at the work and the experience, and they take any experience as value. And that's the brick that they lay in their heart, you know. That's why people stay interested in things and progress and go on to greatness, is because they realize that they're not doing it just for a reward or just for a gain. They're doing it because they love it and this is what they want to do. So their passion never fails. It never wavers. It lasts forever. The work becomes the art, and the art is the life. You know, it's your life, you know. So for me, it's like I try to literally like approach everything in my life like that. Like, even the hard shit, it's like it's all some way to it's some way the universe can provide value to me and honestly itself, you know. How could I not love something that's really only got my best interests at heart? That's how, you know, because there's always a silver lining, you know what I'm saying? There's always something positive to look at, or negative. Really, it doesn't matter. It's not positive or negative. It's all perspective. There's no real path, you know, to riches. There's no real path to possession. The path to possession is the path of loss. Because if you have something and you lose it, you know, you're only mad because you had it. if you never had it, there is nothing to lose, you know. Lao Tzu saying that there's a way to possess, but to not at the exact same time. But that's kind of like a backwards way of seeing it. It's more like when you let go of all possessions in your mind, any concepts of possession, then you have no reason to fear them going away. And that messes me up because it's like you want everything. You want the money, you want the girl, you want the car, you want the job, the respect, the admiration of your peers. You want your mom to love you, you want your dad to love you, whatever. But you can't depend on the manifestations of the world around you, because all things come and go in life. And it's like a river. It's like life is like a river, and we are in the river, and the river is going towards the ultimate destination, which is, you know, death or darkness, right? But we're always trying to grab on to the rocks and the soil, and we're trying to swim against the current, and we're trying to prevent the flow of life from happening as best way we can, or to deter. But think about it. If you're swimming against the current, all you're doing is standing still and exhausting yourself. And there's a point where you can't fight life and its inevitable flux. And even if you exhaust yourself, you'll still be overcome by the flow of life. So why even fight when it's only going to take you in one direction? There's like power in that. So it's like you're not really trying to move mountains anymore, man. Like life is the mountain, you know, and you are the mountain. Why are you trying to prevent things from doing anything, you know? And moreover, I find in my life that the more I try to maneuver and finesse, the less successful I am. You gotta kind of work with what you got at all times, you know? I think there's a lot to observe and like learn from, even in the present moment. What is beautiful and ugly, man? A beautiful person might be ugly on the inside, you know? You can't make that judgment because they're both relative to each other. That's making those judgments is like grabbing the rocks at the bottom of the river and trying to hold on to whatever preconceived notion that you have. Calling a good man a bad man or whatever, or vice versa. What use is it? What use is it? We change, we grow, we go up, we go down. A bad man can be a good man, and a good man can become a bad man. Why would I say that this man who is changing as much as I know I am can't be anything greater or less? You know, it makes no sense to pick up that stone, so to speak. You know, so in my life, I'm trying to put myself in the center of all things. And I receive flack from that sometimes. Like, nobody wants the dude that's in the middle. You know, everybody's like, pick a side, da 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 da. No, dude. No one on one side or the other knows more than one side or the other. we're both like, we're all really in the center, and everyone is just trying to find identity against other people. No one wants to accept the identity that is truly always present in the center of your mind and heart. That's the hardest, I think, truth to accept, is that no one is right, not even you. And to understand that is to not really say or do anything in life. And that doesn't mean like, live a life of silence, which some people do. Monks in the mountains in India, they they'll do oaths of silence for years and not talk in an effort to achieve true neutrality. But in my mind, that's not necessary. That's not necessary, because the modern world requires us to be a part of it and say things and have opinions. So in my mind, in order to get on the Tao, you know what I'm saying, you have to make your opinions, take others' opinions, but let them just be that. I don't possess any ideas. They flow from me and my experience and my consciousness. People will make judgments on you from the things you say, but even then, just say them. I don't identify with what I say. Now, if I hurt somebody's feelings or whatever, I apologize, but I don't ruminate over the fact that I hurt their feelings. I have to let that go. I have to let myself go. I can't just bear the weight of everyone's perspective. The master, is what Lao Tzu is saying is, again, it's like the master does their work, they share their intention with the world, and then they let it go. And I think that will give you more respect than trying to win over an argument, man. I can't tell you how many times I tried to argue with some girl about how Bitcoin is the way and da 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 da, and they're like, "What the fuck even is a Bitcoin? I'm a communist." Why would I spend all this energy trying to make them see the way that I see the world when they don't even care to see the world the way I see it? Well, that's not how I want to say it. When they see the world on a complete other flip side, you know what I mean? My error is thinking that my way is the right way. Better ways to approach that situation would be to share your knowledge, let them say what they say, positive or negative, and understand that it's just a thought, it's just a concept. There's no need to enforce anything. There's no need to argue, and there's no need to fight. It's all just a dance that we do with each other, sloshing back hot air, between each other. It's like we don't need to do that to find the deeper truth. The deeper truth is never going to come from an exchange. It's going to come from reflection. Anything that really resonates, it's got to come in, and it's got to mingle with the consciousness that observed it, before it really becomes anything more than just an exchange of energy, which is all it's ever gonna be. It's easy to, how do I want to say it? Also, sorry if the fan is too loud. It's gotta keep the air circulating in here, It's a difficult thing to let go, You can't expect everything to happen the way you want it to. But, someone's like, hey, I gotta know. I want to know. How am I supposed to make any kind of decision in life if I have to let go of any outcome? Like, I'm just doing nothing. I'm a hermit at that point. And to that person, I say, you're missing the point. Like I said before in the previous episode, you have intention. You have will. You have all the senses and faculties of your body, mind, instrument to do and experience the things you want in life. You pick the experience and you pursue it, but you can't expect anything from it. The ultimate path, the TAO, is to flow through your life seamlessly. There's a non-doing that comes from remaining in the center of everything. Really, I think what Lao Tzu is trying to unpackage is that there is a center to everything. Like everything. Don't let anybody fool you into thinking that there ain't, And I have made that mistake so many times in my life. You don't need to pick a side. You don't need to win the argument. You don't need to win the fight. You don't need to do anything. Because there's so much to take just from being. You don't need to do anything, but that doesn't mean don't do anything. It means do things, but don't think about doing things. Do the things. There's a time for your mind, but then there's your mind takes over after it does what it needs to do and judges and sees if it's good enough or bad enough. Like, I'm gonna make this video and reflect on it and then be like, dang, I wish I had said this, or dang, I wish I had said that, or dang, I was really awkward or whatever, or dang, I really killed it. All of that shit is just noise, man. The path for me is to talk about each poem and meditate on that, and that's it. What comes out comes out. And the universe will find a way to resonate with itself, be it with a person who picks up on what I say or myself when I look back at the footage. That's why I'm not worried about what I say in these videos. I guess there's bound to be somebody that feels it and feels me, And I mean, here, that's still my insecurity talking, but I'm not gonna let it stop me from finishing the video, and I think the same goes for anything that we do. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's the beauty of life, is it's so nuanced that you can always find a pocket. And Lao Tzu is saying that you don't even need to look for the pocket. You're your own pocket. You're your own space. And there is an infinite amount of energy in that space itself that you can tap into at any point, that you can rest on and grow from at any point, All of this from just for like showing dichotomies, man. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it's so much that you just you can't process it. You can't fathom it all. But if you're thinking and moving around, none of it's coming in, you know. You gotta open your heart and you gotta let it rest. Suddenly the colors come out, the sun comes out, and there's nothing to be said because you're watching the divine movie, the divine projection of life, the divine manifestations. And that's the mystery that Lao Tzu was talking about in the first chapter. It's like, and I mean, the mystery is the mystery itself. It's the fact that things are even here in the first place. Why are they here? Like, it doesn't matter. They are. And they will go. All things come and all things go. So I'm not here to possess. I'm here to experience. And grow and learn. Even knowledge comes and goes, you know. My feelings towards this chapter could change at any moment. I could have a different interpretation, but that doesn't mean that my previous interpretation isn't valuable. They all have a time and a place. They all have a pocket. But you have to accept where you are in that present moment. You have to let go of thinking that there's better pockets, which there are in life. You know, we know that there's better places to be, but you're only going to get there for real, if you take the time to stop and look. Make your world fixated on the center of your existence, which is you in this present moment. And you have to do that constantly. So when you have to, like I said, when you have to use your mind to do things, build things, to work, to communicate, you do it. But you don't worry about what happened afterwards because it's done. It doesn't exist. You don't worry about what's going to happen in the future because it doesn't exist. It's not. It's a story. You know, a fighter may try to anticipate a punch, but they don't know what's going to happen. They are wrong. And when you're wrong, you get hit. When you're right, you hit or you dodge. But there's a give and a take, you know. But the only way to not get hit is to not fight. So when you have to take the punch, you know, when you have to weave, you know, you do it in the moment and then you move on to the next move. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get into the flow. That's how you get into the flow of life. And I'm sure a lot of us have heard things like, when some things leave you, that makes room for new things or better things or worse things or just whatever. It makes room for things. In my mind, yes, they could be good or bad, the new things that come into my life. But it's the presence that attracts me. It's the fact that it's something new at all that I'm attracted to. And I think that's what Lao Tzu is trying to say. There's value in acceptance, not, what's the word? Finality or execution, so to speak. There's no value in things that are done. There's value in things that are learned and things that change. Because once things are done, it's dead. You know, the idea is dead. And sometimes movement is life, but when you rest your mind out of dichotomies and judgments and, you know, what's the word? Labels. You know, you're untouchable. Everything moves around you, you know. Because it's that's been a thing that a lot of us are probably thinking about right now in this age of like COVID-19 and like not knowing what the next day is going to be like, can you let go of what you think is going to happen tomorrow? Because you know you're not going to be 100% right. Who is? Only God. And it's like even God probably doesn't know. God probably made it random themselves, you know? Like, I ain't God, you know? Like, who is? You know, who is God? Lao Tzu says God is no one. God is no thing, is nothing. So I'm reading this and trying to think of more things to say, but I keep coming to the last line. When her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever. So that's where I'm going to leave it. That's where I'm going to leave it today. So, a little bit of a sadder mood today, but hey, life is what it is, you know. We take what we can get and we move on. Life is about accepting the positive and the negative and not trying to manufacture any kind of mood or expression or feeling or vibe, man. At least the life I want to live. There's a time for role play. There's a time for exuberance and sadness. And when it presents itself, you have to embrace it and live in it and feel it and think about it, man. So I'm gonna wrap up and just read the poem one last time for y'all to reflect and meditate on, because I appreciate y'all so much for listening. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to meditate on it as I read it. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. Being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow each other. Therefore, the master acts without doing anything and teaches without saying anything. Things arise and she lets them come. Things disappear and she lets them go. She has but does not possess. Acts but does not expect. When her work when her work is done, she forgets it. That's why it lasts forever.